Welcome to my review of the Yamaha Guitalele GL1. As always, I'm going to try and say some things that no one else is saying, so I'll start with the most mind-blowing thing to be said about the Yamaha GL1 Guitalele, and that is that the decision Yamaha made on the tuning of this instrument is debatably one of the worst educational decisions they could have possibly made, in my opinion. Before I get into that, I do think that the GL1 Guitalele is a fantastic instrument. The build quality is great, and in my opinion the price is spot on in terms of the balance between the quality of the instrument and it being affordable. It's badged as a 1/8 size guitar, but guitar sizes are quite literally just made up. It's not actually 1/8 the size of a full-size guitar. From a practical point of view, the sizes of guitars are full size, 7/8 size, 3/4 size, half size, quarter size, and 1/8 size, which really just means full size, a bit smaller, still smaller, a lot smaller, donut smaller, and smallest. I'll have to do a separate video on that because basically it's a history lesson and not important here. But the GL1 is the smallest guitar you can easily get your hands on. If you need anything smaller than this for a child, then I would just recommend a soprano ukulele. Be aware there are 4 common sizes of ukulele and soprano is the smallest. If you've made it this far into my educational review, then clearly you are interested in the musical education of little people, so definitely check out my children's book, Sound Tuition's Meet the Music Notes, available on Amazon. I would definitely recommend the GL1 for children, and maybe even for adults at a push if you want to practice guitar for when you travel, as long as you don't have large hands with large fingers. I have 2 small children myself, and so I recommend this as a father as well as a professional musician and teacher. Do watch your children when they play with the Yamaha GL1 Guitalele, because like any guitar or ukulele, the ends of the strings can be really sharp, and also, although unlikely, there is a serious risk to eyes if a string snaps. So this isn't a toy I would recommend if your children are very small and if you want to be able to leave them alone with it. Age-wise, I'd say the GL1 is a great choice for players aged between 0 and 5 years old, but as I said, adults can use this, so there aren't really upper or lower age limits with this instrument. Personally, it's better if an instrument is slightly too small for a student than if it's slightly too big, because a smaller instrument is easier to play than a bigger one. But all that said, there are much better choices for people that have been practicing regularly for roughly 2 years. So I think, rather than fixating on the age of the player, I would view this as the perfect guitar to start with, almost regardless of age, but especially for children. And then I would recommend looking into buying a larger guitar when you or your child has played for roughly 2 years, depending on how often you are practicing. On to the most important thing you need to understand about this instrument if you buy one. The reason this is called a Guitalele is because it's a crossbreed of a guitar and a ukulele. Obviously, hence the name, Guitalele. A ukulele has 4 strings, whereas a guitar has 6 strings. And the GL1 is like a guitar in that it has 6 strings. However, the strings of a guitar are tuned to the notes E, B, G, D, A, and E. Whereas the 4 strings of a ukulele are tuned to the notes A, E, C, and G. Now this Guitalele has been designed to be tuned to the notes of A, E, C, G, D, and A. So like a ukulele. On a side note, a ukulele has what we call Reentrant tuning, and so the 4th string is an octave higher than you might expect. Just ignore that if it means nothing to you. But the problem with the Guitalele that everyone needs to understand is that it looks like a guitar, but is tuned like a ukulele. So from a learning perspective, giving this to a child to play is not only confusing, but potentially downright damaging to their musical development. Because they are playing the 1st string of what looks like a guitar, but they are hearing the note A instead of the note E. That is educationally, in my opinion, like telling them a spoon is called a fork. We learn through repetition and labeling our experiences, and then repeating and reinforcing the labels we give things. The label phone, the label hand, the label glasses, the label E, or was it A? I'm a guitarist first, but I also play ukulele professionally with 3 in the dark. So I switch between guitar and ukulele daily. In fact, multiple times a day, as I teach both instruments professionally. And it is totally possible for the brain to switch from thinking in ukulele tuning, A, E, C, G, to guitar tuning, E, B, G, D, A, E. But they are visually fairly different instruments. To make the instruments look the same removes the visual cues that the instruments are actually different. Where does this leave us? Simply buy a GL1 because they are really good. There is a link in the description if that helps. As a parent, I know how hard it is to find time to do anything, but I recommend strongly that you tune it the same as a guitar and not like a ukulele or a guitarelele. That means you take the note A and you tune it down to E. And that was down to the note E and not up to the note E. Otherwise, the string will likely snap, or if it doesn't, it's increasing the risk of it snapping at some point and the danger to your eyes and body in general. You then take the second string, which is E in ukulele tuning, and then tune that down to a B. And then continue this process, lowering the tuning of all the strings to match that of a guitar. Whereas the downside in this, the negative is that the string tension will be a lot lower, and that's most likely why they decided to tune this instrument to the same tuning as a ukulele in the first place. Because the shorter the string length of an instrument, the lower the tension of the strings will be for the same notes. So you end up with slightly loose strings. However, personally it isn't that bad, and this negative is worth the benefit of reinforcing the correct connection between the visual aspect and the actual notes your child is hearing. Here's a guitarelele tuned like a ukulele. And here's Mary Had a Little Lamb in this tuning. Here is the guitarelele tuned in E like a guitar. And here's Mary Had a Little Lamb in this tuning. And finally, I'll play you some chords and then a small part of my own composition, Mysterious Waters, so that you can hear what is the best sound I can get out of this instrument to prove it isn't just a toy. Personally, I keep my Yamaha GL1 Guitalele tuned in E like a regular guitar, but you must do what you believe is best for you and of course your children. As always, this is all just my opinion, professional opinion, but still just my opinion. Watch some more videos on this, discuss this with your teachers and musical friends, share this video far and wide, and as always, have a great day. My main point in this video, that tuning the Yamaha GL1 like a ukulele is potentially damaging to a student's musical development, is debatable. Because the human brain is extremely powerful and can obviously learn to cope with the problems that different ways of tuning the GL1 create. However, something that is not debatable is that if you tune the GL1 the way it was made to be tuned, A, E, C, G, D, and A, then you won't be able to use guitar tab to play along with any of the famous songs you want to learn. Because guitar tab is written for guitars tuned to E, B, G, D, A, and E. So much music is available in guitar tab that it would be a massive disadvantage not to be able to access it because your instrument is tuned to a completely different set of notes. Finally, my personal belief is that all guitarists should also learn to read standard notations well. And again, if you start the learning process to read music on a guitarelele tuned in A, then you are going to have to relearn the names of the notes found at each fret when you switch to a larger guitar tuned in E. If you want to learn to read music on an instrument tuned in A, then I strongly recommend that you do that on a ukulele and not a guitarelele. And tune your Yamaha GL1 Guitalele in E. Tuning in E also means you can use the huge number of guitar books and resources that exist to learn to play the music you love. So for me, however I look at it, the benefits of tuning the GL1 like a guitar and not like a ukulele not only outweigh, but absolutely best the reasons why anyone would tune the GL1 like a ukulele. I hope that's helped. I'm Pete Cook, soundtuition.com.